It was filthy everywhere, there was damp, there was mould, there was stains. Both of us were working full time. This was our first one.
Cash flow wise, how's it doing?
Really well.
You've quit work now?
Yeah.
Teamwork back to dream work,
That's it, yeah, definitely.
So what sort of occupancy have you had this at?
100%.
100% success, 100% occupancy. I don't know anybody else who says that. Hello everyone, I'm Kieran Connolly again here talking with some of my most successful students in deal sourcing and running rent to rents. I've got Stephen and Andrea here from Telford. Their company is called Investor Pro Limited. We're over in Telford today at one of their units. Very, very tastefully put together, a beautiful unit. How has your journey been? How did you find the training? How's it all been going for you?
Yeah, so the journey has been quite incredible. You know, it was scary at first because both of us were working full time and we did this whilst working full time. We kind of like had a goal in our head that we wanted to manage property, and we knew that we could do it by renting property from watching YouTube videos and that sort of stuff, but we just had no clue how we could approach landlords and get them to, you know, give us their property. So that's why we came to you, and, you know, we thought the training was really good. It gave us the confidence that we could ring them directly and then, you know, kind of say to them, look, you know, although we're new to this, but this is what we can offer you. We managed to, you know, like convince quite a lot of people, and that gave us a choice then of ones that we could pick, and this was our first one.
Good choice as well.
The landlord came down to meet us. He had no clue about company rent. And he said he was really sceptical about the whole thing. So when he met us face to face...
So you pitched him on the phone, you met him, you had to pitch him all over again?
Yeah.
Okay, tough negotiations then.
So he come down and he said, I was really sceptical about the whole thing. But now I've met you in person, I do feel better. And yeah, I'd like to, like, you know, take you up on your offer. The house was ruined by previous tenants.
This place here?
Yeah.
Which is immaculate now.
Yeah, it was, I mean, in honest words, it was disgusting. It was filthy everywhere, there was damp, there was mould, there was stains. They had not looked after it. The landlord was, you know, he felt physically sick when he came back in this house.
I think it was 3 skip loads of stuff they took away. The rooms were filled with rubbish from the floor to the ceiling. We can only open the door to look in the rooms to see the size of the room, upstairs and all the bedrooms. They just left suitcases, family pictures, old clothes, shoes, instruments. It was just like a dumping ground. We had to have the walls replastered, all flooring changed. They had a dog, which they kept in here and not let outside for about 3 years they'd stayed here. None of the neighbours had ever seen the dog, they just heard it. That's how. So the dog was obviously toileting in the house.
Stop. So you saved the landlord's day, really?
Yes, yeah.
Really saved more than the day. You've saved his investment.
Well, he said, so, of course, we said to him, you know, we'll take it on, but we did give him a list of things that he had to do because, I mean, it was very costly. He did all the work that we asked and then we did our bit. And it took a while to get it up and running, but we managed, you know, because you've got really good contracts, we showed him the contracts and we managed to negotiate a grace period so we could do the work. And when he come back to the property, when it was finished, he walked in here and he was nearly crying, and he said, his words were, "This is breathtaking."
Yeah, he said, I've got no words, I've got it in writing as well. He just said, I can't believe what you've done with this property. Never would I ever have thought it. He said it's never looked like this, even when he had it from new, and he said it's never ever looked like this.
It's beautiful outside too, it's a really nice setting, nice environment. Inside stunning. Cash flow wise, how's it doing?
Really well. So we make about £3,000 gross profit on this, net's about 1,500.
So 1,500 net every month?
1,500 net every
month. So about an annual salary?
From day one.
Monthly salary?
Well, I think it was up for a week. I think a week, and then our first person arrived, and then we'd have a person.
You've used some of the special tactics I've taught you to have it filled.
Yeah, so when we put the house on, we had a booking on that day.
You can see the spec of the house and they love it.
We didn't really know about staging, but Andrea at our home, she, you know, buys all the furniture, she puts things in certain places, and then what we discovered is Andrea actually has the eye for detail. So we added staging to our company. So now Andrea her services is offered out to other companies where she will stage.
Because everybody commented on the staging, didn't they, when they came in?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'll just go flat pack and Andrew tells me where to put it.
And I don't have the eye for detail. I'm good at strategy, I'm good at problem solving, I'm good at connecting people.
Guys don't have the eye for detail.
No, not at all, mate, not at all.
It's very practical, you've got all the skills.
Yeah,
Stephen, I would say, we make a good team, and it's good doing it as a team, working as a team, because Stephen is more confident when it comes to like negotiations. I think his everyday job working for social services helps with that. He has to do a lot of negotiations. That helps. He's more confident in that way, whereas I'm more confident with putting together the property. It's like, we've got the property now, negotiations are done, right, okay, just leave me to it. 2 weeks, everything's there, delivered, scheduled, and I know exactly where it's going, how it's going. I can give you a plan. So we make a good team together.
Teamwork makes the dream work, eh?
That's it, yeah, definitely.
Have you got any other units?
We are working on another unit at the moment.
You're working on another one now?
Yeah, so that'll be done by the weekend.
Yeah. I know that so I'm interested in seeing how that goes. We'll follow up with you maybe in the future and see. I'm sure you'll do just as well with that one too. You know what you're doing, train by the best.
Yes.
Do say so myself. So you've got the other unit coming up. I know you guys aimed since the beginning, you made that very clear, to focus on management.
Yes.
Which you're doing now, £1,500 a month. Since you got it up and running, have you ever had to pay any of the rent? Have you ever had a void? Have you ever had a day when it's occupied?
50% occupancy is what we worked on, Kieran, what you taught us. So we always break even at 50%. We'd never take on a deal if it didn't work at 50%.
Yeah.
If we couldn't pay the bills at 50%, everything, rent and bills, we wouldn't take on the deal.
So what sort of occupancy have you had this at?
100%.
100%.
I would say.
You guys are used to this now. You do realise everyone else is struggling at 50, 60% occupancy, making 100 quid to pay the cleaners. They're not doing it like we're doing it.
So we had somebody leave.
That's what this YouTube's for now, let them know,
The property was available for 3 days because it became vacant, and Stephen started going into meltdown after 3 days. And literally by the end of that week, somebody came along and signed an agreement, and I was just like, a week, and he's at panic stations. So it was like 3 days.
It was occupied for 3 days.
Yeah.
1 day is 3%, so 91% occupancy wasn't happening.
And Stephen was at panic stations, honestly, and I kept saying to him, just give it some time. It's absolutely fine. We are fine.
But we're not going to give the secrets away for how they get 100% or where they market the properties. You got to know that. You have to get in touch. But these guys, you've heard it 100 times now being said, 100% success, 100% occupancy. I don't know anybody else who says that. Let's talk about the contracts. We had that issue at the start.
Contracts are really what saved us, to be honest, Kieran. I'm not trying to say that, I want to veer away from your deal sourcing, because I don't. That's where we started. We nailed deal sourcing. We could get deals every day of the week. That wasn't a problem. But when we finally landed our very first deal, so actually this is the one that we have and was our first deal because it flourished. But we did have a deal prior to this. We had a serious issue on our very first deal where our landlord locked us out of the house after 3 days. Now, I came to you, if you remember, and I said, Kieran, what are we going to do about this? And your first thing was, you didn't even go to the contract. You said, give me their number. Would you be happy for me to mediate for you? And I was like, great. You're going to be able to talk them around. And if you remember, you had that one phone call with her. She said, ring her back, and then she blanked you and blocked you. And I was just thinking, what are we going to do? And you were like, it's fine. We'll go to contracts. And I was thinking, contract? Like, what's that going to do? Like, we're going to have to go to court, blah, blah, blah. So, to cut a long story short, basically, we issued her with the clause of the contract that said, that we had rights to that property, we paid our rent, we hadn't breached the contract. She was in breach of the contract, not allowing us to access the property, and she had X amount of days to reply. She did reply, and she actually said that we had breached the contract, because she said that we've been partying in her house, we'd damaged her drive, and various other slander.
It sounds crazy, but it's true.
But this is all really true. But none of this had happened. So we hung tight, like you told us to, and we said, no, that's fine. We'll move to the next level. So we moved to the next level. We issued out more paperwork, which was all supported by Ladder Properties, I have to say. We had none of this legal background. We didn't know, so it wasn't just the contracts. We had the support of Kieran doing the mediation, as well as taking us through the legal steps that you need to go through to be able to get to the end where you can get your money back. So this went on for about a month, and basically we got to the end of the legal process. It was a Friday, and it was at 12 o'clock she had to pay all the money. She paid half of the money back and refused to pay the rest of the money. And then at I think it was 12:05 on that Friday, the second half of the money arrived back in our account. So we got a full refund, so that was deposit and the full month's rent that we paid when she wouldn't give it us back. It took about a month, but we got everything back, and that was from the help of Ladder Properties. So that was our first issue of contracts. So this is why I would say contracts has been the most helpful to us. in our journey, because the second one was actually with the landlord of this property. So although obviously he was very grateful with us and with our services that we offered, the refurb that we'd done for him, the issue is the landlord had a rogue contractor.
The contractors had gone rogue, as in the builders had gone rogue.
Yeah.
And there
so
was someone ready to move in.
The guest couldn't move in. And she'd paid her deposit, and she'd paid, the rent. So she couldn't move in. But the landlord was still asking us to pay the rent. The grace period was up. The landlord wanted his rent, but we were like, we can't use the property, and it's your builder that's gone rogue. So we're not going to pay the rent. And he was like, no, you need to pay the rent. So we came to you and we told you the whole story, and you were like, oh, this is fine. You need to go to clause 4. Basically, the house isn't up to standard, so therefore you can't be expected to pay rent. How are you paying rent for something you can't use if you can't use it? So we went back to the landlord of this house, was so grateful, and we said to him, we'd just like to refer you back to clause 4 point whatever it was. And he looked at it, and we didn't hear from him again until he gave us a date when the contractor was back to finish the work. Therefore, he'd read it, he'd understood it. We didn't ask us for no rent. We didn't pay any rent until the contractor came back and finished the work.
So you had one landlord who just changed his mind on you, and 3 days later, that Polish woman.
Yeah.
Let's not say her name, but we had that Polish woman who changed the locks on you after 3 days.
Yeah.
And then this guy who came in almost in tears, kind of wanted to charge you the rent. Everyone's grateful when they're grateful.
Yes.
And then they go home and sleep, and a week goes by, they forget about it.
Yeah.
You go, pay me the rent, even though you can't use the property, pay the rent, but luckily, both times, the paperwork that I provided you protected you. And this is the thing, guys, you know, but I feel like a lot of people who are starting off, when I'm talking about contracts, it's not glamorous, it's not entertaining.
No.
I'm going, contracts, they're like, yeah, I've got a contract, bro, I'm all right. You haven't, though, because clauses like what you just mentioned there in section 4 that says that the property is not at a certain standard, because a lot of, I've seen landlords have said to people before, I'll do the carpet, I'll do the paint, let's just sign the contract to get the rent paid.
Yeah.
And then they go, I ain't doing no carpet. And it's not in the contract. You're screwed.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got a legal team, I teach all my students from the first one, you got a legal team, they're like, no. Oh, what are you going to do?
Well,
guess
that's
what?
it. It's not just
you
the
have now.
It's not just the contract. It's the support, though. It's the we could read that contract ourselves, but it's interpreting it and having support to be able to put it into action. So we had the contract, but we wouldn't have known how to apply that contract. So we came back to you. You talked us through it. You helped us. You've done the mediation. If you look back, really, without the contracts, we wouldn't have had that first deal. We wouldn't have had this deal. So we wouldn't have got our money back from the first deal. We'd have gone bankrupt on this deal because we wouldn't have been able to pay the money. Wouldn't have had the money to keep dishing out the rent without any guests.
And this is what happens, Andrea, a lot of the time, man, where people rush in, thinking they know what they're doing. 6 months later, they've just been getting drained of rent and money and guests refusing to leave and all sorts of nonsense. And 6 months later, they say, property's not for me.
Yeah.
It's for everyone if you know what you're doing.
And you've got the support.
If you've got the correct support, the correct mentor, the correct knowledge. I always say there's 3 pillars to success: time, knowledge, and network. You guys have put the time in.
Yeah.
I plugged you into a powerful network and you've used that knowledge correctly. You did make it very clear from the beginning that you only wanted to run your own units, but you did sell a few deals, even though that really wasn't your intention.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have.
And we're still selling deals.
Oh, you're still doing that? Okay.
Yeah, we
okay.
also, yeah.
So you've got a few bits going on with that sort of stuff
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But your main objective, you've always told me, is to
It's to get units.
get the units of your own. To
And
run.
we have actually bought. So we are in the process of buying 2 units. So we've got 2 off-plan units that we've bought. So we don't only just do rent to rent. We were using that and the sourcing to fund the purchasing.
So basically, rent to rent has sort of springboarded you into the property game, and now you're there buying properties.
Yep.
Using
And I'm
the
full
money.
time as well in property, and hopefully Stephen
So
will
you
be.
quit work now.
Yep.
So again, rent
And
to
it's
rent.
not even a year. We were incorporated in June last year, and I don't think we did. You do your course in August? Was it? I think maybe
I'll have
August,
to check.
September.
I'll have to check. So just to be clear, you've been in property now, not even a full year.
Yeah.
You've left your job, which was your plan.
Yes. Yeah.
You've got this unit making you a monthly wage of 1,500 quid net profit.
Yeah.
You've got deals that you're selling going on, and you're now buying properties. So making 1,500 quid, quitting your job, buying properties, all from the sourcing of the rent to rent.
Absolutely.
It's just springboarded you into success and confidence now in property. Congratulations, man. I hope everyone at home is giving you the clap that he deserves, because this is huge, man. It goes to show the success is possible when you put the hard work in. But if you are at home and you're watching and you feel like your business is overwhelming you, believe me, you're not the only one. Just keep pushing, keep moving forward. You only fail when you stop.